Hey everyone, welcome to the Pickleball Effect Podcast. This is episode 70. I'm your host, Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
This is episode almost coming up on a year for us, which is really cool and exciting. Time flies. We're going to hit, we were just saying we're going to hit 100 episodes this year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That'll be wild.
We'll have to think of something cool to do for that one.
Yeah, I liked the little giveaway we did last time. We may have to up that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could. All right, so this week I'm exhausted. I'm feeling it right now. I've been going hard the last couple of days, finalizing stuff for the review. The JOOLA
Pro 4.
JOOLA Pro 4. Dude, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be rough. Oh, I can feel it already. I got some serious brain fog, but hopefully it clears up for us. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm burning at both ends. Getting a house, played pickleball this morning. Getting a house ready to sell. Finding a house to live in.
You found a place.
I found a place. Yeah, thanks to pickleball. Thanks pickleball.
Yeah, this is fun. You were telling me through Pickleball connections, you found this rental, and then you find out, the people that clean this are
pickleball people. The property management are pickleball people.
It's all connected, and I love it.
It is great. I've always told people, like, if you need somebody in Boise that does something, I probably know somebody that does it, because everybody, I feel like from all aspects, like they all play pickleball, like somebody from every industry.
They do. Yeah, it's fun how that works. But we got our weekly update. We're gonna do our 3-0 to 5-0. I got that one this week. Kyle's Corner. We got a few items from tournament and some local stuff that's going on there again. Paddle, Babble, and gear. We can finally talk about the tech of the Series 4. We're gonna do some comparisons. We're gonna compare it to the Flamingo, TruFoam, Bantam, and we'll do C45 because I know you've been digging that one. And that comes out when this is released.
Yeah, I'll say tomorrow, right?
Their official
so
release.
Today, yeah. When you see this, that'll be the release.
Yep. Then I want to talk about exponential power versus linear power and Q's discovery there. He kind of debunked that theory, and
really?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'll explain it to you. It's pretty neat. He was doing some testing through his little PB core setup, which is beyond me how he figured that out. But the most Q thing ever, and I love it.
He's got his own cannon.
He's got his own cannon. So he's doing a bunch of fun little experiments that USAP and all these other people are never going to do because they don't care to experiment the way he does, and reviewers are thinking. Anyways, it'll be really fun to see what else he comes out of that. But I want to talk about that, and then I just want to talk about the question of just power paddles in general. Do you need a power paddle? Who should play with a power paddle? And just dive into that a little bit. And then we have our Q&A questions. Someone asked what our top 5 paddles are right now. And then a couple other questions there. So going into the weekly update, the first bullet I had on here is just events.
It's funny because before you put this bullet on it, I had a call with Chris. And I was like, dude, everybody.
Which Chris?
Olsen.
Okay. There's a lot of Chris's in pickleball.
Yeah. But I was just like, JOOLA started a trend.
Yeah. I was surprised more people didn't do it after last year's. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this one set a trend for sure.
Yeah, I was talking about, like, I think marketing wise, money wise, because you got to think they spent, I would guess, $12,000. That'd be like my guess to get us all out there, get everything set up.
It's probably close to 500 ahead.
Yeah, and then out of that, they ended up getting every podcast to talk about them. Hundreds of Instagram story, like the amount of like organic marketing, I'm sure was totally worth it to them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, just just view per dollar, just whatever that ratio was. If they go and spend that on some online ad campaign, they probably get further reach with this. And it's the audience they want to hit.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's more targeted. I will say it could, and we talked about this too, is like it could backfire though if your paddles suck.
Oh, 100%.
It could definitely backfire.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, every brand has taken that risk when they send us a paddle, right? It's just part of the deal. And we're both very conscious of not accepting money, just being for real and just saying how it is, Anyways, a lot of people are saying that, and they're like, ooh, maybe we should do that too. So we had mentioned last week Adidas is interested in an event. Holbrook is another one that's interested or wants to do one. Theirs is actually going to be the soonest if we decide to go. I can't go to every paddle launch. We just we can't.
Yeah.
We have to prioritize and be a little picky there. And like I like the idea of events, but in my head, you got to be a bigger player for a couple reasons. One is like for JOOLA, we go to the event, if we like the paddle, people want to know. If we don't like the paddle, people want to know.
Yep.
Adidas will probably be a similar situation. Plus, they have really cool pros we could do content with, so like that's attractive. Love Holbrook and their new paddle they have coming out sounds really interesting, but I'm still undecided and leaning not towards doing that. For like, if I go and it's great, then yeah, I'm going to tell people about it. But if it's not great, and I tell people, there's just not as much interest around that.
Yeah,
I get a lot of questions about JOOLA, not as many about Holbrook, and it's a big time investment to go hang out there for a couple of days. And if we do make any content out of it, it costs a lot of money. I got to pay Aaron a lot. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into content and resources that I'm not sure if an event makes sense for me to commit that every single time.
No, like we can't go to one every month,
right? There's just so many paddle releases, but I get why they want to do it, right? But there are reasons to go. I mean, they're gonna do it with the St. George PPA, and maybe it'd be fun to just tag along, just go to the event and just pair those together. So maybe I'll end up doing it. Right now, I'm leaning towards not to going, but we'll see. Here, I got to decide that in the next day or two. But I do like Holbrook. Tyler's the guy. I talk with, interface with him a bunch. We have a good relationship, and we're both very candid with each other, and it's great. I love how we talk, and we have free debates, and I appreciate that about him, what they got going on. But they're pushing it hard. I expect to see, keep seeing them pushing it and seeing good things come from Holbrook. All right, then next bullet here is I had a new mustache experience I got to tell you about.
Oh,
yes. I didn't even know this was one until it happened. So it was my wife's birthday this weekend. We just went to McCall. It's a couple hours from here, a little vacation town. Mainly just because the kids just love swimming.
Oh, yeah.
And we haven't seen any snow here, so we're going to go sledding. So we go there. And we're swimming. It's Friday morning. And it's like we rented the pool for ourselves. And I noticed every time I was coming out of the water, my hair would stay wet, but my stash would just dry off. And I was like, this is nice.
Water repellent.
And so I didn't know this was a benefit of does your beard do that too? You come out of the water and it's just like dry.
Yeah, it sheds water.
Anyways, I was just loving that.
That's funny.
It's good. I keep checking off my mustache experiences. But I'm happy with it. And I'm proud of where it's, it's come a long way. It's not, it's not 100% there, but it's definitely better where it started. There's little hairs that keep coming in here and there. Thank you to everyone who's believed in me. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep going. The smoothies have slowed down, but I'm keeping the stash.
Oh, that's great.
And you know what? There's going to be haters out there, and I'm okay with that. It's only further motivation to keep going. So those hate comments, it's part of the fuel for me.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If I grow it, it looks normal. If I shave it, people get mad at me. So that people are going to start to get used to. They're going to identify you with your mustache, and then you're not going to be able to shave it.
It is turning into a little bit of a thing. Like during the Super Bowl, there was that really funny mustache commercial from I think Pringles.
Yeah.
And Doug from Bread and Butter texted me. He's like, Braydon just saw you on or it's like, I don't know. We were just talking about that commercial, but like he thought of me when he saw that commercial, right? Like this is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
They really missed an opportunity. They needed me in there. I felt like the thin wispy mustaches was underrepresented, and I could have done well there.
You got to stop discriminating.
Yes. Other bullet I had here for weekly update is so the JOOLA launch was today. Everything was embargoed until 2 p.m. Eastern time, and I was under the impression that the paddles were just going to launch and be available at that time, but they were available earlier in the morning. I want to say 8-9 a.m.
on JOOLA site.
On JOOLA site, and I felt a little slighted at first. I was like, "Oh, you dogs! You're trying to." Anyways, that was interesting. I wonder if they were running some sort of test of doing their own launch and then doing the online reviewer.
Yeah, like once the reviews go, does it like how much it ramps up?
Yeah.
They're big enough. They would check metrics like that, I bet.
Yeah, I would think so. And so I'm gonna reach out to him later, in a week or so, and be like, all right, well, what was it? How did it go? What was the difference? But no, I'm not mad about it or anything. I just saw that. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Any bullets for you this week?
No, just been getting ready to move. I've been playing mainly the Pro 4 because most of my paddles are in storage between houses, and that's like I got some questions. They're like, hey, did you hit the Thrive Smoke? And I'm like, oh, I have it. I just moved it and I forgot to put it in my bag.
Yeah.
So I need to hit that one. And
the new place has a basement. You're going to convert into a studio, storage place.
Exactly. So all my like slowness with the YouTube will change because I have a beautiful spot to set up.
It looks great.
Videos.
We may have to move this.
Yeah, no, honestly, you could. Like, there's a ton of room.
Get a little more space, maybe get more creative. But I'm happy with what we've done with the space here.
This is great.
But no, that'll be fun to make.
It'll be nice for me to have my own place where like I can just have my tripod and everything set up, and it's quick. Because right now between houses is just a nightmare.
Yeah, that will be cool. That you'll be able to just set. Whatever your setup is, get it set up and it'll stay there.
Yep.
I take down and move things around, and it's a little bit of annoying that way just because of the space we're in. But that'll be cool if you can just have, this is where I shoot, leave it set up, have it marked.
That's the plan.
And then you have your work desk somewhere else, which would be cool.
Exactly. And I have 2 desks. So
do you?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Nice.
I have like a big, nice like farmhouse L-shaped desk, and then I have like a nerdier desk for like gaming and stuff. And editing.
Editing. The and I know you were thinking of doing a C45 review. Is that going to happen? Is that coming out?
Well, I have all the B-roll and stuff. I just need to shoot like the script. Like I even have a script. I just have to shoot it, and I haven't had a spot. But so it'll probably come out late. But that's okay.
Yeah. It'll start pumping here in a minute. Okay, 3.0 to 5.0 is brought to you by Holy. This is our hydration partner. They have a program with a pregame, in-game, and post-game. You can buy these individually or as a package. I've been using these for a minute. They just reloaded us both. They also sent us their new flavors, which are coming March 11th. I'm a big fan of the new ones. They actually taste really good. I didn't mind these, but these new ones are better.
Yeah, they reformulated them a little bit. So. Yeah,
so excited for March 11th, new flavors. But yeah, go check these guys out. I'll put a link in the description. You can use the code PBEffect to get a discount off of their stuff. They also have like a sample pack.
Yes, I'll say if you do want to try them, you can get a sample pack for free. You just pay the shipping. So that's a cool deal to just try it and not invest too much money.
Yeah, you can go try them out, see what you think. It's always nice to get an idea of the flavors. I like that there's electrolytes, and they also do nootropics, so it gives you a little extra focus, but no caffeine. They do have the caffeine.
The pregame.
Pregame is a separate thing, which is nice. But yeah, it's a cool deal. Go check them out. Okay, today's tip for 3.0 to 5.0 is keeping your weight forward on drops. As I was thinking about this and I was watching people play this weekend, just looking for common mistakes, things that people could fix really quick. One is keeping your weight forward on drops. I was very surprised how many people were standing straight up as they were taking their thirds, or they would get backed up and swing on their heels.
Yes.
It's super, super common on thirds. And even on shots that are fairly straightforward, wasn't like a ripped return. They just get a little lazy with their footwork. So be conscious of your footwork. Let the ball kind of hit its peak. On its way down is when you want to pick that up, take it out in front of you, keep your weight forward. Even if you get pushed back, like if the ball's pushing you back, take a step back. But before you hit it, consciously stop and lean forward before you take the ball. And you'll be much more consistent on your thirds. You have much more control. You'll place it better. Just everything is transformed when your weight is forward on that.
Yeah, huge.
This tip I got from Kenny Ortega. This was probably a year ago. We were playing, and I was like, Kenny, diagnose my thirds. I'm just been struggling with lately. And he just instantly said, just put your weight forward, get on your toes. And just immediately improve that dramatically. And so that's been a huge thing for me. Easy thing to do.
I agree. When your weight's forward, your drops tend to be, they're more consistent. I feel like if you're hitting off your heels, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not.
It's much more inconsistent. It's not that you can't.
Yeah. And like another one, like not just weight forward and like standing up straight, but actually like get
athletic
down.
Stance.
Yeah, exactly. Athletic stance. Use your legs to lift the ball. Don't just be doing all arm all the time. Like you got your big movers down here. Use them.
Yeah. Anytime you can simplify your swing, your stroke, use the bigger muscles. That's a good thing. There you go. That's your tip for 3.0 to 5.0. Kyle's Corner.
All right. So I got a call again from Jason.
Brought to you by Slice.
Oh, yeah, it is brought to you.
We got sponsors, bro.
Brought
Sponsor
to you by
these guys up.
Man, I blew it. Brought to you by Slice. Slice weighted butt caps come in a few different sizes, 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce, and an adjustable. This will bring your balance point down, which, makes it a little more maneuverable at the net. I love the 1 ounce personally.
I put these on every elongated.
Yeah,
paddle.
elongated. I always use 1 ounce at elongated. I'll use half ounce, sometimes on hybrids, depending on what it is. They also sell, they changed the name of these. What are they called now? They used to be called test weights. Now they're just called.
Just weights.
Okay, now they're just weights. So they also sell basically brass little discs that you can attach to the bottom. And these are pretty hefty ones.
Yeah,
Which one
these are
are
heavier.
those?
But yeah, same effect.
Yep, 28 grams.
They have 10 gram and 15 gram options that I use on hybrid and standard shapes.
And then the
instead of
28 gram on the
going
elongated.
all in on a slice cap. I prefer the slice caps on the elongated, and then I'll use these for shorter shapes.
I love it. Thank you, Slice.
Thank you, Slice.
All right,
Again,
first topic.
PB effect, code, link in the
Yes.
description. Go for it.
Okay, first topic, the targeting penalty. So I got a phone call because we talked about it the last podcast. Jason Asps called me to talk about the targeting.
He was pretty quick on it, wasn't he?
He was. He was. It was the day we launched it, the podcast. It was, my phone's ringing. I'm like, I wonder what this is.
What did I do this time?
He just wanted to clarify some things because we were making jokes. And so the targeting penalty, one, it sounds like they're going to remove that responsibility from the ref in the moment, because that is really hard to call like in the moment. How I was saying, like, Don, like, you're already watching a ton of things. Like, that's hard to determine that somebody actually targeted them. And it's going to be based on intent. So when Ben ripped that one at Guangdong and missed, that is still going to be a targeting penalty, even though we didn't hit him, because the intent was to hit him.
So you can't, if someone hits a lob, you can't just run back and take it to the dome and find somebody.
No. And he said like a missed overhead to somebody's face. Like that's not like, that wasn't intended to hit him in the face. So it is going to be, they're still trying to figure out the nuances, but overall they just want, some safety. They don't want guys going out there and just ripping balls at people's faces, especially when they're frustrated. And it does sound like it's going to be more of a reviewed type penalty that's applied versus like in the moment.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And so it was a good phone call, and I agreed with everything. And again, we were just poking fun at like, how people were making fun of it. And they're like, oh, that's targeting.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a good rule that way.
Yeah. I think it's going to be good for the sport. They do hit the ball really hard, and you shouldn't be intending to hit somebody in the face. I think everybody can agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get a comment of somebody being a smart aleck.
Yeah, it's just a whiff of ball. Like, it still hurts getting hit in the face. Like, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want Hayden to absolutely just rip one in my face.
No.
All right, next topic. We had a failed paddle. It's been a while since we talked about failed paddles. And it was a challenged failed paddle. So UPA has a rule. You can challenge a paddle. If that paddle fails, the player with the failed paddle is fined $2,500. If that paddle passes that was challenged, the challenger of that paddle pays $1,000 fine.
Which is kind of a weird rule to me, that the person challenging gets fined if it's wrong.
I think it's put there so people don't, because I feel like otherwise people are all just going to be like challenge, and they're just trying to prevent everybody from trying to challenge a paddle. You got to be fairly certain that paddle is going to fail. Because you got to risk $1,000.
When you're playing a paddle like that, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I guess my first impression was, oh man, like maybe that's a little steep, but okay, it makes sense. Yeah, you want to deter from that just going haywire, going wild. But you can determine with some confidence if a paddle's too hot.
Oh yeah.
And so as the player challenging a paddle, I wouldn't be too worried if I'm confident that.
So
one is too hot.
They do not test the paddles until the round of 16. So
what do you mean? Like they don't have to get it approved from the PPA?
The UPA does not test paddles pre-match until the round of 16.
Okay, so
I think
tournaments that are what do they call it when they do round of 32? Progressive. They don't even test paddles. Period. That's
the way that read, is that they don't test paddles until they reach the round of 16.
But on other tournament days that are not progressive, where they do one event on the,
I think they just test them every day. I think so.
They just test the paddles before. So on those days, round of 32 would be tested.
I would assume.
We
might need to clarify that one. But I was reading through, and it said that the paddles are not tested.
At least on progressive.
Yeah. But like I feel like all their paddles should be tested pre-tournament. But I think once you're past that round of 16, maybe everybody's paddles are actually getting tested pre-match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll have to get some clarification on how often they test, because I'm under the impression it's by day.
Okay.
So sounds like they didn't do 32. So round of 16 day, you show up, you get your paddle tested, then you go warm up.
That would make sense. And that's the way that read. So Travis Rettmeyer, Elise Jones against True Luck and Roddy. And I guess like the whole match, Jones and Travis think, but they actually think both Roddy and True Luck's paddles are no good. But they end up challenging True Luck's paddle. True Luck and Roddy do win, and they challenge the paddle. It was a JOOLA. I was trying to get clarification because I don't think that was a televised match because it was so early that I was trying to find out if it was a 3S or if it was a Pro 4 or what it was.
Probably a 3S.
I would assume a 3S.
Only the bigger
names had fours,
had the fours.
And yeah, True Luck's not a big name, but the paddle failed, so she has to pay a $2,500 fine and loses the points for that match. Like you don't get your PPA points.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
but it sucks that Elise and Travis didn't get to move on, right?
Exactly.
I think I saw Zane put out some possible solutions for that.
What was his take?
I'm trying to remember what they were, but he did have some clever options. I'll have to link in the description, but it was
talk
good.
About it next time.
Yeah.
Zane's always got good things.
There's some, like Travis was talking about in his pod, Zane was talking about it. And there's definitely some things they can do to fix that, make that a better situation because they moved on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was unfortunate. But that was our first paddle fail.
It's been a while. Yeah. So I feel like we haven't talked about somebody getting a paddle challenge and failed.
Right. It doesn't feel like it's been an issue as it has in past, like last year.
So I was pretty excited when I saw that. I was like, yeah,
something to talk about.
I was like, paddle drama.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was more of a spark on the rules of how to handle that versus, I can't believe this paddle was too hot.
Yeah.
Or how are you allowing that? Like, it was just more, how do you manage this? Let's fix the rules. Let's catch these problems earlier and make sure everyone's treated properly versus whether you win or lost kind of deal. So it's just a refinement of the rules. This is the first time it's happened in a minute, but it definitely sparked some, I think, healthy discussion on how to improve that. And
I do feel like you should be able to, at some point, and this is pro sport, if your paddle's challenged, you should be able to test it then. And if it fails, like I think they should have to forfeit that match. And I do think Travis and
add something on site.
I do think Travis and Elise should move on if somebody's playing with a bad paddle.
Yeah, I wonder. I know they're working on on-site testing because right now it's all deflection. They don't have any sort of PB core thing, but that probably would have failed deflection. And they had those on site.
I would assume that would fail deflection.
Yeah, I wonder if they could test that after the match. Just do that real quick. Go look at deflection just as a preliminary test, and if it fails, okay, they lost the match. Travis,
or you have to test pre-match because again, a paddle could
paddle could delaminate
during the game. That's what I was just gonna say. So I feel you would have to test before, and then you couldn't challenge
until after
because it's not her fault if it delaminates during that game.
But she should still switch it out if she's challenged or questioned.
Yeah, that's true.
She did switch out paddles. Because she was,
and I think that's the one that failed.
And the second one was the one that failed. So she had two broken ones.
Oh, terrible. But while we're talking about PPA, we have to congratulate our hometown Chloe
Igleski.
She officially signed with the PPA. That's
it was a
cool.
big deal. So how old is she? She's 18 maybe?
She's 18 or 17?
Maybe 17.
Oh, 17 or 18.
So she moved to Arizona to probably train 4 months ago to go train and pursue this just because there's opportunity to meet partners and get different competition and coaches there. And so she's doing well. She's won some first rounds.
There's a rumor we could be seeing her play with Michael Lloyd and some mixed. We'll see.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
I know she's talked with others like Rafi Hewitt.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that'd be a fun one too.
So she's making some noise. She's getting some attention.
Yeah.
And really excited for her.
Yeah, I was pumped.
I didn't know she'd signed. How did you talk to her dad or?
No, she posted about it.
Oh, did she post about it?
Yeah. All right.
Well, congrats to Chloe.
And then the last item was a new MLP rule. I don't know. Did you see Ryan from the labs stories about this?
Not really.
The owners are pissed. I guess they didn't know about this rule going into effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
So a new MLP rule that 4 times during this season, a premier team can drop a top 4 player from their team and steal a 5 or 6 player from another team without compensation.
They just get them for free?
Yes.
That doesn't seem right.
I know. And it's funny. So Ryan had like a whole like his story. He had like balls set up and he was like, so this is my team. And, you know, I picked these guys because they're going to have growth and these guys and they take these guys and then we don't get to play. It was
yeah.
hilarious.
That's a play, right? I mean, that's the thing in every pro sport.
Yeah.
You get people to develop them.
Yeah.
If people can just take them, then there's no incentive to develop them, coach them, and integrate them into your team. Because those 2 slots is a great opportunity for people to go, you know, up and comers to go mix, train, be with those guys. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't like the rule, especially that you don't get any compensation. So these guys pay for them and then you just get to steal them.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that was a weird rule, and they said it came directly from the commissioner. And they was like the managers did not vote on this rule or anything. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's a weird one. When does MLP start?
I think pretty soon. And there's been a lot, I don't know if you've been paying attention, there's been a lot of like APP pros that were rumored to not be able to play MLP that are announcing they can play MLP now.
They need more talent.
Eric Lang, I think exactly. So Eric Lang, who else did I see?
I saw him picked up as like an extra or something.
I think I saw 2 others that were like APP. Oh, like Howells, and maybe one other. But so we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, that's it for Kyle's Corner.
All right, Paddle, Babble, and Gears brought to you by ADV Bags. They have 2 pickleball bags. They have their backpack, and then they have a larger pro bag. I'm a fan of the backpack. I just like that you can fit your shoes in here. There's tons of accessory pockets. Everything fits, but it's still not too bulky when you put it on. Good quality material. I can fit everything in here super easy. Got
the fence hooks.
Yep.
All the stuff you need.
Yeah. Plus, the price feels good. It's right around $200.
Yeah.
I'll have to get exact pricing with the code PB Effect. We'll knock it down a little bit. And so feels good. They did a good job with these. Go check them out. Link in the description. Okay. First item of business. Let's just talk JOOLA tech now that we can, because that was the one thing we weren't allowed to talk about.
Tech Flex Power.
Tech Flex Power, TFP. Welcome to the pickleball world. Man, we can make commercials.
We could. I'm basically Morgan Freeman.
So, oh, wow. That was quite the claim. So, essentially what they did is they added some foam down here in the love handles.
I've been calling them wings.
In the wings. That's better than love handles.
I've been calling them foam wings.
Down here in the wings. And when I first saw this at the event, I was like, oh, they developed this with Ben. That's where Ben always puts his weighted tape.
That's where I put my weighted tape too.
So it makes sense that they did that. One of the issues I had with the original 3S series is particularly with this shape. We don't have all the other shapes yet. Was they were just a bit too head heavy, tough to move around. And so having it down here made a pretty big adjustment to the balance point. It brought it down, I believe 3-4 points on each one, which is significant. You'll notice that. Plus the swing weights are lighter. And so this location made a lot of sense for this shape. We'll see how it affects the other shapes when we get those. But one thing, the main thing for me that I liked about what they did here is, like if you look at other Gen 3 style that have the floating core, those do feel a little softer, more comfortable than the original 3S models, right? And so by putting the weight here, but not attaching it to the propulsion core they had, keeps that power intact, but gives you that benefits of the floating core in the sense of feel. So it has the improved feel. It's a little smoother, a little crisper, not as hollow, not as harsh as the stiff as the 3S was. So you get that benefits of feel without losing the power. I thought that was the most clever element to this, was making this its own addition and not combining it with this and making some sort of floating core thing. That way they keep that power they're known for, but then combating some of the weaknesses of the previous series with the balance and the feel. And so I thought it was a great upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing breaking, but it makes sense, right? They're at the top of the game when it comes to firepower. When you're looking at total, like combined power and pop, this is at the top, along with a few others, but there's only a few there. And so they've been there the longest. A lot of people are still playing catch up with the power. They're now just refining it and making it a better model. So that's the tech they did. I thought they did a good job. Any other thoughts?
No, I think it was a small improvement, but that small improvement made me like the paddle because I didn't really like the 3S, and I've been playing with the Perseus 14 solid. Like that's been my go-to lately.
You need to make a video about it too.
Yeah, I have to because I really like it.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's talk this paddle and compare it to a few others now. So let's do carbon TruFoam first. Let's do the 14 millimeter because this is a 14 millimeter, and then we can talk 16 millimeter. But what are your initial impressions on how these compare?
Definitely less power.
Power and pop?
Yeah, I would say a little. I would say a little back on both compared to this one.
Yeah.
Control. I think the feel's better on the TruFoam though.
Yeah, feel is certainly more dense, less crisp, more soft.
Yeah, like it feels like you're pocketing the ball more.
Yeah, a little more of that dwell sensation. When you're at the kitchen, this is definitely easier to control, softer feel, easier to connect to. Definitely more offensive here. Forgiveness wise, I'd give it to the Perseus. The elongateds are a little trickier, especially out of the box. Forgiveness wise, I think Perseus is more forgiving. Definitely prefer the feel of this. When we're looking at the forgiveness, at least when we're comparing these elongated shapes, I think it'll be a different story when we compare the Carbon 2 to the Scorpius. But
and then swing weight wise, this is better, and I like it better for flicks for sure.
You can definitely accelerate through it more, and it gives you a little more with a little less. This is a little bit heavier, plus you have to work a little harder if you want to get that extra pace. And so the offense definitely comes a little more naturally here. Okay, that's the TruFoam. Next is the Flamingo. Have you spent much time with the Flamingo?
I have. So I'm curious. I haven't looked at your numbers.
Okay, well, that's good. Then
I think
you have an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I think the power is higher on the Flamingo.
So number-wise, if we're comparing 16s, because this is a 16 millimeter, at least just from my testing, power came in higher for the Perseus, though I think this one was a little bit poppier.
Okay.
Which was interesting. So
yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
They both have that diving board foam.
Yes.
This one is heavier.
Yes.
Much heavier. So I have a 15 gram slice butt cap thing on there, and that helps. But it's definitely on the heavier side. You can't accelerate through the ball as easy, but it is more forgiving.
Yeah. No, I thought the Proton. I actually thought the Proton was really forgiving. My only complaint with it is it kind of felt like a tank a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tank. And I'm actually kind of questioning where the power comes from on the Proton. Okay, yes, it has the propulsion diving board Gen 3 style, but there's not as much foam there. It's thicker on the Perseus, and it has smaller cell sizes in this. And I'm like, where is that? Is it the weight? But the pop is pretty good, and it makes me wonder.
Did they release the layup? Like, is there fiberglass in it?
There's either fiberglass in there somewhere. I don't know what the layup is, or like, is it a little bit of a compressed core or something that's pushing it out? And I wonder if they are intentionally left that in there, or maybe unintentionally. Because I would, spec wise, just looking at the spec sheet, I would think this isn't going to be as poppy and powerful as it is.
As it is, yeah.
But it is there. But it definitely, it has, and I think this actually feels a little bit better. It's a little denser because of the smaller cell size. It feels a little more complete to me. And the forgiveness is nice on this, but it is heavier.
Yeah. That's it. And that could be from the smaller cells, because then there's more cells over the same amount of surface area.
Yeah, that's probably why it feels a little more complete and dense and is more forgiving. Yeah. It's very possible. But picking between the two, I don't think the Perseus, at least the 16, is too far off feel-wise. I don't think the trade-off there is like, oh, man, you got to go Proton.
Yeah.
And then I do prefer lighter paddles. Me personally, I go 16, though I can see an argument for the Proton. If you like heavier paddles, you want that extra stability, and you don't care as much about the lighter weight.
I was going to say it depends on who I'm playing against, honestly, because if I think I'm going to have to be resetting a ton of hard balls, I'd probably play the Proton, because I felt like it reset really with low effort.
Yeah, I do think control, even though the pop is really good on this, I actually, when you're playing it on the court, I think I can control the Proton a little bit better. With the design of the JOOLA, particularly the 16, it can kind of jump on you
Yeah,
sometimes.
I was ripping out balls like crazy on the 16.
Yeah,
the 14 to me is where
yeah.
easier for me to control.
Yeah, the power on the 14 is more hidden versus the immediate power of the 16. I actually was pretty surprised how I was able to dial in the 16 eventually. I remember last year I did the 3S that 3S review, and I never was able to figure them out.
Really?
By the end of the review, I just was like,
I suck.
like, please get rid of these. I'm done. But by the end of this one, I wanted to keep playing with them. I was playing pretty well with both the 16 and the 14. The 16 didn't come to me initially, but after it only took about a day and a half until I was like, oh, I could start swinging out on it. There were still moments where it would go long or wide on me, but I definitely felt more comfortable and could swing a little more freely without being too worried about leaving it up. But I didn't, you don't feel that way as much with the Proton. I do think the control's a little bit better. So it is easier that way. And with the butt cap weight, it definitely helps with maneuverability. But I with the way I was playing with the 16, I think I take the Perseus over the Proton, though Proton plays good. Both very expensive, unfortunately, around $280 before code. I don't know. Which one would you take?
If I'm going Perseus 16 versus the Proton, I'm taking the Proton. If I'm going Perseus 14 versus the Proton, I'm taking the Perseus 14.
Okay, that's a good take. I like that. So that's that one. Next one, this is the one you've been playing a lot with.
Ooh, I like that one. I think this is why I'm liking 14s, honestly.
It started with the Franklin?
I think it started with the Franklin.
Okay, how would you compare these? Let's do the 14s. We'll compare 14s.
I think the Franklin's lower power and pop, but I feel like it's way faster at the net. And I can hit flicks. Like the Franklin really helps me hit good flicks and good rolls. It's just real maneuverable at the net.
So maneuverable.
And I think that's why I think like Hayden and all those guys, they were doing so good because they're all real wristy. I know they're going to switch to the elongated, but it definitely, like, you can whip through the ball so good with the Franklin.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the superpowers of this one. And with it being lighter, it still has similar power and pop to their original, the Tempo Dynasty models. And Franklin's leaning into the weight. They made a post the other day that I really liked where they had 4 or 5 different weight setups that their pros use.
Yeah, I love that.
This is how Hayden does it.
Yes,
this is how Georgia does it. This is how JW does it.
I can't believe everybody doesn't do that.
Everybody should do that.
Yeah,
I thought that
100%.
was brilliant.
Yes.
Because
Easy
people are
content.
so interested in that. It's easy content. It's great advertisement. And it sells tungsten.
Yeah, just make videos of like every pro, especially JOOLA, like of Anna and all those guys just putting tape on their paddles, like where they put it. People eat that up.
Oh, yeah. Those how I set up my paddle videos that the pros do always do well.
Well, even the like what's in my bag, those were doing great. So like, how to set up my paddle.
Yeah, but the power and pop of the Franklin, from stuff I've seen online, I think is overstated. I would not consider this a power paddle.
No, I wouldn't either.
I have about 3.5 grams here on the side. I haven't weighted it up heavily. And so maybe that transforms it a little bit.
Yeah, I put 9 grams on each side.
Whew, that's a lot.
I put 9 grams on each side.
You're going to need the 1.5.
I did use the 1.5. I used the
Okay.
1.5. I did 9 grams on each side. And then I can't remember which slice I put on the bottom. But yeah, I made it heavy and it mashes.
Yeah. But even then, is it the same power level as this?
I'd have to measure that.
I wouldn't think so, though.
Versus this with weight, because I weight on my Perseus too. Then no.
Yeah.
But versus this stock, yes.
You think it's similar?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Though I would still be even surprised. We'd have to go run the numbers. But even then, I'd be surprised.
But your swing weight's way lower on the C45.
Do you know what yours is with all the weight on it?
Oh, I haven't measured it since I put weight on it because I have my graffiti machine's also packed up.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't measure mine either, but these come in so light stock.
Yeah.
But it's tough to compare these because I think they're different categories.
Absolutely.
I think this is all court, this is power, and they definitely serve different purposes. If for the reasons that you mentioned with how this one plays versus this, if you want the pure power, with good stability out of the box, go with this one, 14 and or 16. Yeah. This one is definitely more that maneuverable, finessey. It's not going to give you as much, gives you more options to manipulate the weight and balance you get, but it's not a power paddle to me.
That's a big fact you said too. Stock, this is not very good. Stock, this is good. Like, I think most people will grab the stock and like it.
Yeah, I honestly, because this review was so quick on these, I didn't even mess with
weight.
They played good out of the
Yeah.
box, and I just said I'm going to run with this for now, and maybe I can add updates later.
And they did come a little heavier than the 3S because of that TFP being added. What it was like.
So the static weight was
the static
a
weight
touch
was
heavier.
Yeah, the swing weight was lower.
But the swing weight was lower.
Yes.
And which is a nice combination.
I was going to say, that's a great combo.
We like 0.1, 0.2 ounce increases in static weight and decreases in swing weight. That's a great thing. In that scenario, I like seeing that increase in static weight for the stability reasons. Plow through it. There's just a lot of benefits to that. But if you get 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 increase in static weight and then
5-point increase
and
in
an
swing
increase
weight,
in swing weight, then like we don't want that, right? Or even if it was the same swing weight. So the balance on these new ones was well done. But yeah, these are just two different paddles, and I would never recommend them at the same time. Probably if someone is describing a paddle they want that's in this arena, I would never bring these two up. They serve different purposes. But for me, the power pop isn't the revelation here with the Franklin. I could shape the ball well. I think it has a unique feel. Although mine has a deeper feel and sound than some of the newer ones I played. I emailed them about that, and they said, we haven't changed anything. I don't know why the newer ones don't sound as deep.
Mine, when we were in Vegas, was way deeper than Aaron's.
Yeah, way deeper. And Aaron had gotten his later. And so we both have the deeper sounding ones.
Yeah.
We need to see if we can get the newer ones. Whatever happened, we don't know what happened. They don't know what happened. They say nothing changed, but there's definitely a difference in sound and a little bit in feel. Yeah. It doesn't have as deep and dense of that thud-like feel that ours have. And so I just based off from Vegas hitting Aaron's, I preferred the feel of this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I need to get the new one and see if my kind of thoughts stay the same. But I think the benefits to this is I do think it shapes the ball well. I like the feel of it, at least of the one I have. I think that's unique and adds a nice element to it. But pop, power, I guess the lightness, customization could be a draw to it, but it's not. I don't know if it's a home run by Franklin, but it is at least a little different, a little more unique than some of their previous offerings.
Yeah, previous offerings.
And so, and although I was one of the few people that was okay with their tempo line. I liked their 14 millimeters of their Dynasty and tempos. No one else really got on that board, but I liked those.
You do you, boo.
But anyways, that's the Franklin, and that's out. And codes and stuff. Okay, another comparison here. We talked a little bit about this one last week, and opinion's still the same, where you're going to get more shape options, more thickness options, which is an advantage with JOOLA, which is an advantage of JOOLA with all of these paddles.
Yeah.
JOOLA has so many shapes, and two thicknesses, and they have a lot of SKUs, so you can pick the handle length, and the only thing they're missing is a true hybrid.
Yeah.
Now they have the Agassi shape, which is, so they have, let's see here, they have the Ben Johns, the Agassi, the Hyperion, and the MacGuffin. They have 4 different elongated paddles.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's what all those tennis type players like,
I guess. And so they just have a ton of options, which is good for the people who know what the differences are. It could be paralyzing for a little too much for some, but
a little overwhelming.
From my seat, I like shape options, though I wish they offered a true hybrid. And
I think more brands are going to start.
Franklin's is a true hybrid.
Yep.
That was nice. We said, Engage is their legacy brand that's doing a hybrid. But none of the other legacy brands have really picked that up yet. Anyways, but you do get three shape options with this. This is just so much cheaper.
Yeah.
I said this multiple times in my review and written review, is like, you have to pay for this big firepower.
Yes.
That's just the power. The paddles that have this big firepower, they're all 250 plus at the moment. And so you have to pay for that if you want that top tier level. But if you're okay coming down a little bit in power, then you can save over $100.
No, if you want power on a budget, you can't argue against that.
You can't argue this. It's it still plays for giving. The power's there, though it's not as easy to access as this, but it's a great option for those who, and even I would think this paddle fits more people than these do. Which was what we'll talk about next is, well, before we jump into that, let's talk just a quick comparison to Bantam. I forgot to grab a Bantam. Imagine
which Bantam?
we'll do the TKOs.
Okay.
TKOC. Imagine there's a Bantam here. The top end power is bigger on the YOLAs.
I think the YOLA's more forgiving than a TKO.
YOLA's more forgiving. So top end power, more forgiving, which are both benefits to it. But the TKO does have power quicker.
Okay.
And it has it's a lighter weight, a little more offensive at the net that way. And so I think offense at the net, that easy access to pop and makes them uniquely offensive or uniquely attractive at the net, and some of the things they can do there that I don't think these can do.
Mm-hmm.
Though these are more forgiving, probably a little more player friendly in general versus the Bantam. I think the Bantam is more of a higher level play. And even though they improved the feel of these, I still prefer the feel of the Bantams. I think it's a little easier to connect with it, particularly the 14 millimeter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how those compare. Okay, let's talk exponential power versus linear power now.
So he debunked this.
Yeah, he debunked it. And so before his last episode, I would have said this has this exponential power curve.
Yeah, 100%.
Where the harder you hit, the more juice you get. And the paddle tech is more linear.
Yeah.
And gives you easier access sooner, but the harder you swing, it doesn't give you as much as this does. So he did his testing on his machine, and what's fun about what he's doing versus USAP or Pickle Pro Labs is he's testing at a ton of different speeds. He's just trying to extrapolate additional data about a paddle that they're not. And so one of his things he's trying to map out is I guess you could call it the power curve. So he'll start at maybe 30 miles per hour, then go 40, 50, 60, 70, and just see at what point it stops getting more powerful and starts to drop off. And so these, I don't think he's tested these, but I would imagine these just keep returning more power. It's linear.
Okay.
So some lines are lower, move steeper.
Yeah.
And some are maybe a little flatter, but it does seem to be a straight line up until you hit that limit. And so different paddles have different limits. Because we described these as having exponential power, it was not that it had exponential power. It was just that it It had a higher limit. It kept returning power the harder you swing, whereas maybe a Bantam or others just stopped.
Got it. That makes sense.
And so we just felt like, oh man, the more you give this, the more you get. The more you get, just grows exponentially. When in reality, it kept giving you more and kept that line just goes further up.
So you just have access to more power.
Yeah, there's more power available.
Yeah.
And the limit is higher. And so it makes sense. A lot of the control paddles, like the Lux he did this for, had a very small curve.
Yeah.
It stopped generating power at 50 miles per hour or whatever, whereas maybe this is coming in at 60, 65.
Maybe start calling it the paddle's HP.
Yeah.
HP value.
What's that?
Well, like health points, like a nerd game, but we'll call it hit points.
Oh, okay. Hit points. There we go. Anyways, that made a lot of sense, right? It's like it just has that higher power limit. And so it'll be fun to see some of his more of his data come in as he plays around with that. But yeah, the Selkirk it just stops earlier. And so when you swing big, it just doesn't go. And so that is helpful in some cases for some players who need that ability to absorb. So like when you're stretched out and the ball's going fast and you are off balance and you're putting a big swing on it, it's not going to pop up on you. You can still control it better because it just absorbs and doesn't give back as much. So he'll be able to map. I don't know how deep or how many paddles he's going to do, but it'll be fun to see how everything compares and lines up there.
He's going to be down in his basement drinking coffee till the wee hours of the night. He's going to have a database of 1,000 paddle power curves.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun to follow and really cool what he's building over there.
I like that.
But if I were to graph the Bantams versus these, my guess is that the line for the Bantams is higher. So the young
I'm sorry, it's late.
What's Lewis and Justin do? Anyways, I would guess the line is higher for the Bantams, meaning it gives you more power with less effort. But then as you get higher in speeds and effort, the YOLA gives you more. So I would think that they kind of intersect this somewhere. So the YOLA has a little steeper line, whereas the Bantams is a little flatter, but still goes out there a little bit. So you get a little easier access to power.
This would be cool to see when he has all these charts.
Bantams. Yeah, it's
like
gonna be really
compare
fun.
them.
Yeah, and so that's a cool little discovery he had, and something we can pay attention to as we talk paddles in the future. All right, last question.
Q&A.
No, this is last. Well, I mean, I guess we could make this a Q&A paddle. We'll start Q&A. First question is from me. I am provided the Q&A. Who should use a power paddle at, I'm talking level of power, JOOLA power. Who is this for? Should everybody using it? If not, who should play with it?
My personal opinion?
Yes, your personal opinion.
4.25 and above.
Okay. Explain.
Your fundamentals at that point should be pretty sound, and you should be able to handle the power, and that should aid you in your game a little more. Where I feel like before that, there's just so much more you should be working on. You shouldn't be using a paddle that I think is going to actually deter you from learning to hit good drops and good, like, just the fundamental shots. So that my argument would be 4.25 and above.
I would even...
I was thinking even
4.5.
I was gonna say higher, but I know a lot of these guys want to buy some power paddles.
There's a few groups I would add to that. I agree. I think 4.5, just advanced level players are the ones this suits. Anything below that, you're starting to flirt with this line of losing more. You're losing more than you gain with this level of power, and so you need some skill and some ability to be able to manage that, where you actually get benefit from the offense versus what you lose in control. So 4.5 plus, I think, is Group A. Another group is hot and humid areas. Like if you live in Florida or Hawaii,
the ball's moving slower.
The ball is moving so much slower.
Yeah.
I remember I went on vacation to Hawaii last year, and I took the Valair Mach 116, and it felt like a Lux in Hawaii. And if I live in one of those areas, I want one of these because it is hard to put away the ball there, or at least it's more difficult. And the power we feel from it is not going to be the same power they feel. Just because the ball and the heat just changes.
Everything's
the game
just
so
hotter.
much.
The paddle is even hotter, like itself.
Yeah. So those areas, I think you don't have to be a 4.5. Maybe it's 4.0 plus for those areas or something. And then the third group, I would say these could potentially be for are just players who can't generate power on their own.
Yes.
They need help adding power for whatever reason. And I think for that group, because you're not generating as much power on your own, you can actually drop better and get more stuff over the net. You can finish points. They need that. But if you can generate any amount of power on your own, then I think that's got to be one of those other two criteria. So those are the three buckets I say go flirt with this, because the better you get, you kind of have to fight fire with fire a little bit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so there's definitely some reasons you could go this direction.
Another thing with like when you're at that lower level, like if you are playing with that paddle, it's like you're not going to see it affect your game in your drive. Like your drive's going to be harder. What you're going to see it's when you're playing when somebody's dinking to you and you're just popping them up because you're not used to resets, to like how hard it's going to pop up.
And the best way to test a power paddle to see if you can manage it or not is to go play a half level above you. So when you go up just even a quarter or half level, if you can get a good game there, and you're seeing a little more pressure, you're seeing a little more power come at you, that's when your power paddle is tested. It's not when you're playing your homies, and it's just a chill weekend or whatever,
dinging around,
messing around. In that scenario, and you want a power paddle, go for it. Like who cares, right?
Yeah, go body bag them.
Yeah, go body bag. And so it's when you're stressed when power paddles get you in trouble, and you get stressed more often in those higher level play, and they push you a little more. So if you can manage the power in those scenarios, it's worth it. If not, but again, power's just fun.
It is. It's fun to rip the ball.
But if you want to play your best pickleball, power's not always the answer.
I would agree.
There's lots of options.
I'm telling you, I still play some of my best pickleball with the Shogun. And
I still think you do. But you need to go back to her.
Well, I'm not going to disclose on this podcast. I got shipping notification for another Shogun. Come in.
It's got to be one of the gold ones.
Maybe.
They haven't launched those? They are launching the gold?
I don't know if they launched them all, but they definitely have them coming.
Okay. All right, next Q&A question is from Joey Pupillo 5210. What are your top 5 paddles right now? All right, I will admit we sat down to do this pod.
Braydon couldn't answer this question,
and I didn't have 5 immediately, and I threw 5 down, and so these are the 5 that came to my mind right before we started. Carbon TruFoam 2, Paddle Techie SQC 12.7. Still digging the Invader. I'm still a big fan of the J2K, and then the Vapor Power.
Okay,
were my 5 that just kind of these are the ones that came to mind right now.
So my favorite paddles, gotta go with my trusty Shogun. Love the Shogun. The Evora is one of my favorite paddles to play with.
Oh, really?
It's fun.
You know, I was testing that one today with like the Power and Pop.
Yeah.
And
it's probably middle of the road, isn't it?
It was middle of the road,
yeah.
But it has kind of a little bit of a funky feel.
I know, I like it though. It's fun.
I can't pinpoint it.
Oh,
I wasn't digging it. I need to play games with it still.
It's a very I feel like it's a niche paddle.
It's a little tangy.
Yeah. I feel like it suits somebody that wants to get to the net and then just have a firefight. Like it's got good pop at the net, but it doesn't have very much oomph from the baseline. Yeah. So, but it's definitely one of my favorites. It's just fun to play with.
Okay.
The new Perseus 14 Pro 4.
Okay. Any recency bias in that, or you?
I mean, there's definitely probably some recency bias on that. I am loving it. I still love the Vapor Power. And then number 5. Oh man, maybe I didn't have 5 off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. I had them.
Wait, did you say the Franklin? I can't remember.
Yeah, I said the Franklin. What's the 5th one?
I'm not retaining information well. Right
well, it is. Normally we shoot early in the morning. Yeah. It's nighttime, and we're all old.
Yeah, it's our bedtime, dude.
If I had to pick a 5th paddle, honestly, it might be the Saga. That's one of my favorites.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
So
I need to pick that one up again. Okay, next question is from Derek_Snow. Do the advantages of newer paddle tech matter more at higher level play? How would you answer that?
Yeah, I think so. I think just like we talked about, like the best of the best really only affects you once you're at that certain level. I feel like, or it affects everybody, but I feel like it affects you. It gives you an edge. Like when everybody's equal, and we see this in the pros, when everybody's at equal skill level, then the paddles do make a big difference, like a big difference. And it's very visible on the podium.
Yeah. At the pro level, the new tech that gives you the firepower is going to make a difference. However, there is newer tech that isn't around,
well, that's true.
Just adding power. You have the Evoras that are adding forgiveness. You have
the foam that's, the durability Pulse,
and the Pulse series that has a lot of foam in it, but it gives you different advantages with forgiveness and feel. And so I would argue that aside from power, that newer tech benefits players at lower levels more than
I can see that.
Higher level. You give higher level paddle like the Bantam 12.7 that has a small sweet spot.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
No.
It rips, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
But if you give a 3.0, it hurts them more than it helps them. So I would argue that newer tech, at least the tech that's around feel forgiveness,
I was going to say, so it depends on the tech,
is going to be more beneficial for the lower levels, or more. I'm just going to say amateur play. So I guess that's a little nuanced. Kind of depends. Okay, last question is from Cole_Bellinger.
That was an easy question.
If you could turn one of your shots into a 7.0 level, what would it be?
I bet ours is the same. 2-handed backhand for sure.
Mine's awesome. I don't need that to be 7.0. What?
Do we need to go back and watch me and you playing the Olsons, and you go 2-handed backhand and miss it, and Chris is like, it's not there. It's not there.
An overhand 2-handed backhand, sure. My dinks and speed ups off the 2-hander.
No, but I want that counter that's just like that all the ladies have. Like all the ladies have that 2-handed backhand. They just crush.
I got that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it feels good. You would love to have it.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
I would.
No. I guess if you encompass that to all 2-handed shots, if it's the counter, the dink, that's more than one shot.
I just wish it was a weapon.
That's an entire game.
I guess that's true. It's an entire stroke.
But okay, 2-handed backhand counter.
Okay, I'll just go with 2-handed backhand counter.
All right.
All right, what's yours?
That's a good answer. I like that. that's tough to develop, and that one doesn't come naturally as some other stuff. That one really got to train.
My timing's always off.
Yeah, I have a really weak. I hit my drive two-handed, but it's just weak sauce. I can't get any mustard on it.
It's not Agassi level.
It's not Agassi level. That was unbelievable. What would you call a speed up or like a follow up to a counter? Just I want the rebound, the second counter that like Hayden, that JW, that Ben.
Oh, gotcha.
Where they speed it up and bam, bam, like the combinations.
The counter to the counter.
The counter to the counter.
It probably has a name.
I am a one counter. That's all I got. I got one. You speed it up, maybe I'll get a good one back. But if it comes back good, I'm toast.
You're like,
I'm done.
Like, I hope this resets in the kitchen. If not, I don't know.
I want longevity in the firefights.
You want the fire? There you go.
Firefight longevity.
You want Firefight 7.0?
Maybe that, or you know what? I take it back. No, I don't want that. I want the ability to let balls go.
Oh man,
that's what I want,
dude. You'd win so many games.
That would be the superpower to win.
That is a superpower.
What blows my mind when I watch pros is they'll be 2-3 shots into a hand battle, and they're like, just matrix, and I'm like, and it goes out by 2 inches.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. It's like it didn't even look like he hit it that much harder than the shot before.
Right.
I know.
No way. That's the one. That's what I want.
I think some of that is like little black book though. Like they just know, like, all right, his third counter is usually the hardest move.
Maybe
like they might be just playing some odds.
There could be some of that
because like there's some local guys where like I've had a friend be like, hey, if he counters you, his counter's going out. It always goes out. He's like, even if you think it's going in, just move, and it would go out.
It would go out.
I'm like, oh, I guess you're right.
It probably happens a lot more than we realize.
No, exactly. I think it happens a lot more than we realize.
I hit so many dumb out balls, dude.
I think everybody does.
I feel so good when I leave one out. Like nothing feels better when I just let a drive float by, even when it goes out 10 feet. I'm like, yeah. You see me do that?
Like, pretty sure I saw that about 6 inches out.
All right, that's going to conclude it for us. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Have a great day.